So this next one is another Vice News video. Ooh, let me hit that here. Alrighty, all this is video 3. I'm gonna be watching why the crypto industry was exported out of China. I am a fan of crypto. Excuse me. I enjoy it. It's pretty fun. I think potentially if we were able to educate more people about, I guess, finances through crypto, it would be a interesting way for people to learn how to make money. One thing I would like to do is, I guess, I don't know. It would take a little bit of time, but I would like to create a or have a minting contract, you know, that or a okay, I guess what I'm trying to say is I would like to have like an ERC20 token and like a minting contract where like you make NFTs, you know. To me, an NFT is more than just a portrait or an image or whatever. It is they're just data. So pretty much there'd be a one-for-one representation of the data, right? So you have like one NFT and then you have one crypto token. And as people mint NFTs to that collection or collections, you then, what is it, increase the supply of the overall tokens and then reward users for then minting those tokens. That's just something that I thought of. It'd be pretty cool, I thought. I would probably need to go more into it, but I don't know how you would really enforce it. You'd most definitely be inflationary unless you like use the ERC20 token or whatnot to burn it. But let's see why crypto industry was exported out of China instead of me ranting about NFTs and ERC20 tokens.
Until
Crypto
recently,
land.
China was one of the places to go if you had a crypto mining business. That is
Okay.
until this year when the Chinese Communist Party decided to put a blanket ban on cryptocurrencies. Now, there's a mass exodus of mining businesses looking for plentiful, cheap electricity.
Did they ban crypto because they made their own national crypto token? You would think they would want like to use Bitcoin and other crypto tokens to like further enforce their token. Like if people have traded so much Bitcoin for this here, I mean they could have gotten so much Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff. Maybe they don't care.
To power their computers and a friendly place to settle where regulations won't shut them down. Vice went to Western New York to take a look at how massive Chinese mining operations are finding a new home.
Okay.
This site here used to be a coal factory that was powering a car manufacturer. Back in the dirtier days of this site, it used coal and it created a lot of very disgusting carbon footprint. As you can see, it's a massive mountain. It's been there for many years, and we're cleaning all this out now.
And you've had to find sites like these all across the United States.
Yeah, it needs to be large warehouse space, source of energy that is not expensive.
And you scour the country for it.
We literally did scour the
Dang.
country for it. Here's the thing, when you try to ban something that's decentralized, good luck.
So they're gonna start burning coal to mine Bitcoin.
Niagara Falls has been struggling for decades. Its population has been cut in half over the last 50 years. But Sam Tabar and his team have a pretty ambitious vision for the old city. Turn it into a hub for Bitcoin mining.
This is a lot of the equipment that all came from China. This used to be a factory, as you can see.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's buying up everything.
This is very cyberpunk dystopian.
That's what I saw
right
the Blade
now.
Runner thing. Yeah.
Oh man, dude.
Yeah. This is actually the Great Migration. You see machines all around. They're all in saran wrap. Unfortunately, if these are not boxed correctly or packaged correctly, they will not survive the trip.
Until 2021, about 2/3 of all Bitcoin mining happened in China. But then the country banned all crypto, mining and trading. That left companies like Bit Digital scrambling to find new places to set up their mining machines, known as ASICs. It's why they moved their mines to this warehouse in Niagara Falls.
Okay.
Wow. So these all came from China.
Lots of them. They had to be taken from our facilities in China. They had to be packaged very properly, make sure that all the dust is out of the machines, packaged in this sort of way, and then
Would it have been more expensive to like buy all the equipment here, or I guess not. You already had it. Just ship it here. Same thing as buying it. I mean, you still have to pay for all the shit. Yeah, it's probably better to just send everything you have here.
put into the ports, and at these ports they were put into boats. It's a very complicated logistical nightmare in a way to bring this entire fleet from China to the United States.
And during COVID or post-COVID, man, like everything, man, has been shipping has been crazy. Gas is going up, all that. That's probably before that, though. I mean, before I don't know, but still, man, I would have hated having to just like move. It's like, oh, guess what, bro? Can't be in China anymore. And you're like, wait, what? Can't be in China anymore? And they're like, yeah, dude, you gotta leave. Crypto mining and trading is banned. But then what happens when they unban it? Then do like people go back, or is it like, screw you, it's we're already here and we figured it out? And then with crypto companies moving back to the States, I guess not all of them, but if a lot of them do move back to the States, how does that, like, how would that help with like generating energy? Like, will crypto mining be like on the frontier of like reforming how we use and generating energy, considering like a lot of our power grids in the state probably aren't the best, and in order for crypto mining to survive, like we would have to redo a lot of things and or innovate new ways to obtain and store energy for long periods of time. I would like to see this.
States, which we did successfully, but it was a headache. So each machine has to go through diagnostics to see if it survived the journey. There was a time where you could just mine Bitcoin in
With
your
your
mom's
laptop,
basement.
right?
Yeah. It's kind of hard to do that now because there are these large-scale industrial Bitcoin miners who are using specialized equipment.
Bit Digital has set up shop at a few spots in the US, Nebraska, Georgia, Texas, anywhere with cheap electricity. And with one of the biggest hydroelectric plants in the country, Niagara Falls has plenty.
You ready?
Oh my God.
In a way, we're printing money.
Over the last 18 months, Bit Digital has moved 30,000 ASICs out of China into new locations in the US, and each one is worth about $10,000.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100,000. 800,000.
Not to mention this entire facility. But
So this is like $1 million here, $1 million. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's $8
I don't know, air
million
them out.
worth of ASICs.
Man,
yeah, there are many rows.
they're airing him out.
Holy shit.
Erica Huang leads Bit Digital, which, like many crypto companies, launched in China.
Trying to get
This
him
one,
lose his
this
money.
is a S17 Plus. And
Take it out.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
they're pretty heavy. But they're just like, PS5.
It says Shenzhen. Yeah, it's made in China for sure. It was mining in China. Why was so much Bitcoin mining happening in China?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's simply because those miners are manufactured in China. And also, China has a lot of energy.
China banned crypto-related activities in part to cut down on runaway energy usage. But Bitcoin is also pretty much the opposite of things that the Chinese Communist Party loves. It's a largely unknown innovation that really can't be controlled. These decisions by Beijing are big. It seems incredible in some ways because China is disconnecting its economy from this financial innovation. Is that a mistake?
Yeah, I think it's a mistake. Yeah, I think we should have more freedom and more space for the industry to grow. I was telling people, all our miners are out of China, including me. I'm one of the miners. And in terms of the crypto industry, a lot of people are moving to, for example, Singapore or Hong Kong, or United States or some other parts of the country.
Following the ban, prospectors in China rushed to make sure they didn't lose their investments, because every minute a machine isn't powered up is a minute it isn't making money. And with new technology coming out all the time, it's also 1 minute closer to the machine becoming obsolete.
Do you think Bitcoin is entering a new phase,
Right.
a more mature phase after the Wild West Gold Rush days where things were just sort of crazy in China, then it got banned and everything moved out so quickly?
There was a lot of talk about Bitcoin mining and how most of that was happening in China. And there was a lack of transparency that was going on there. And there were a lot of rumors and people just not understanding what these miners were doing and what sources of power they were using and so on. And so, in a way, it was a great thing that this.
Okay, so I wonder what will happen when Bitcoin, like, will we be able to compete computing wise with Bitcoin? Dude, because I know we're in like a chip shortage. I really want to see how this plays out, especially if a lot of crypto networks continue to run on a proof of work system versus proof of stake. And I would like to see how proof of stake scales, especially since proof of stake still relies on you to have a decent, I guess, device to run the net or host the network, but it's more about people owning the actual like tokens and then like locking them away. So I guess an individual or a node, if potentially like there are not enough nodes and like someone stakes a lot in one node, couldn't that potentially centralize? There's a lot. There's a lot to this crypto stuff. Let's get going.
Bitcoin mining ban happened because that entire industry has now moved to the United States.
What's the case for Bitcoin mining in the United States?
The United States has a very well-established rule of law where an entrepreneur can work without feeling like the rug will be pulled from under him or her. It's very important to have that jurisdictional stability. There's a process, there's a due process, it's public, it's transparent.
Okay.
So we've been driving around the upstate New York region, and it's clear there used to be a lot of industry here. But this, for example, is an abandoned warehouse, and it looks like it used to make Wonder Bread.
The mayor of Niagara Falls has welcomed mining as a way to help finally revitalize an economy that has been in decline since the 1960s.
Okay.
Quite a few Bitcoin mining operations have decided to set up in the region. Do you welcome that in your city?
You know, the single biggest problem right now and it hits, I'd say, a majority of Northeast cities, is poverty. How do we lift the city of Niagara Falls out of poverty? Industries like Bitcoin mining, data centers, those are the technological industries that are sort of starting to grab a foothold in many communities. And they also provide not only high-skilled jobs, but also jobs for those people just entering the job market.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
idea that mining equals jobs is appealing, but there's not a lot of evidence to support.
Because if you're into IT and like a technical like technology, and you're in an area where like there isn't a lot of like there isn't a lot of technology, then you almost would have to leave that area and like stay away from there indefinitely until they provided you an opportunity to come back and work there. And with a lot of, I guess, rural and or small towns that don't have a lot of technology jobs, I could see how this could and would benefit them, because if you draw in more people who are able to work those jobs, then you get more money for one, because they're going to be buying houses, and or you get more people to come to your area because there's more opportunity for them to work, or a diverse area, because I know a lot of people don't necessarily want to live in or work in the city.
It. Once mines are set up, they only need a few people to keep them running. Still, across the US, mayors and governors are welcoming crypto mines to their cities and states. The US has officially passed China as the country with the most mining activity in the world.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
It seems as if
So,
quite a few Bitcoin
are we
mining
big crypto now?
operations have decided to set up in the region. Do you welcome that in your city?
Obviously, we welcome them to the extent that they recognize our commitment to the environment. A lot of today's technological industries, Bitcoin mining, data centers, they heavily rely upon energy consumption.
There are quite a few mayors, cities, counties, states competing to attract Bitcoin miners to their regions. How do you sell the city competitively?
Currently, we are looking to try and establish a standalone director of economic development. Some person, he or she would be the salesperson. Right now, I'm it. So I'm out there working to
Okay,
get
that's interesting.
people to take a look at Niagara Falls as a real reasonable location.
American politicians are not the only ones competing for crypto's business. This is an international contest. Some operations
You can imagine it would be. It's because, like, if I don't know, I know a lot of people don't necessarily believe crypto will be the future, but I know a lot of people. Okay, so the whole point of crypto is to, decentralize finances, and, like, you have this token, you now got money and you can take it wherever. You got a wallet, and as long as someone's minded to know, and you got money, and as long as we value that token, you got money. Same with like your dollar bill. It's like your your gold or your point or your whatever resource. You play video games, like your dollar bill is that thing that you spend your currency. And like, or like the dollar, as long as the United States is here and other countries are like, yes, the dollar is good, then like we're good. But like if America, got Thanos, and then we didn't have a dollar no more, then you wouldn't have any money. But if, our currency was like, Bitcoin, and then I guess is this example, and or an alternate token like Ethereum or Doge, then I can most definitely see that, like, if you had your money in that, or in the crypto, and that happened, and as long as you were able to get to an area like say, we get to an area that still is okay and they still take those points and your funds are in that system and you have your wallet and everything like that, then you probably would be okay because, your money is not bound to one entity, which I see is a pro. And I know there have been many countries in our economies where their currency was completely devalued and you did what I'm saying, like you they it was worthless and they probably would have liked to have had their money in something a little bit more stable even though crypto is inflationary to prevent that from happening because they would have been like, you know what, I'm going here because people like this thing here. But it'd be interesting. Still, I am interested in see how crypto goes, just because like it has a lot of potential. It has a lot of potential to be good, used for good, and probably for evil. But that all depends on us, or we could just destroy it now if we just don't want anything bad to come from it. But that'd probably be way into the future unless we just mess up right now.
Have gone to places as unexpected as the former Soviet state and now country of Kazakhstan, which offer the freewheeling feel of crypto's early days in China. NEDGX has helped Chinese operators relocate to their sites.
Мы одна из первых стран, которые легализовали майнинг как бизнес. Но также дополнительным преимуществом является относительно недорогая цена на электроэнергию, очень хороший климат, сухой, прохладный климат, который позволяет работать оборудованию на протяжении долгого периода времени.
Some would argue that North America is more stable and predictable. And there might be people who wonder whether Kazakhstan would ban Bitcoin mining overnight, just like China did.
Да, мы считаем, что подобные опасения, наверное, у иностранных инвесторов присутствуют. Но, как я уже ранее говорил, данный закон уже был принят. И отменить этот закон — это потеря, репутационные потери для всего государства. Поэтому данный закон никто не будет отменять.
But just a few months after China's ban, Kazakhstan dramatically limited the amount of power that prospectors could tap into, saying it would be rolled back by up to 95%, which for people like Tabar only confirms the choice of the US.
Okay.
As you can see, what happened in Kazakhstan, you could wake up one day and suddenly there's a cap on the energy that you can use for these miners and so on.
Hey.
That wouldn't happen in the United States. Again, there's rule of law, there's transparency on decision making.
Yeah.
It's not just some bureaucrat just making all the decisions in a top-down manner with no deliberation. Bitcoin inherently is not something you can really control. It's decentralized. So as you can see, when they banned Bitcoin, it didn't really do anything. It kind of backfired in a way. If they thought they were going to destroy Bitcoin, that never happened. It's a decentralized force. And China understands, or is slowly understanding, that it cannot control a
We are in a huge crypto winter right now, but I'd say I'm probably going to get more crypto. I'm biased because it's cheap.
decentralized force.
Crypto miners may be moving out of China, but they're flocking to the US, and it's opening a Pandora's box on just how the industry should be regulated. From Miami to Iowa, local mayors are having to decide what the crypto industry looks like on their turf. Regulating crypto is something that's even caught the attention of lawmakers at the federal level. Here to get into what's been going on are Motherboard's Jordan Pearson and Neeraj Agrawal of Coin Center. Thank you guys for joining me. A lot to go over because this is super interesting. There's a lot in the weeds here about the details. But let's start at the beginning because I guess all of this wouldn't be happening had China not put a blanket ban on cryptocurrencies mining. So Jordan, take me through what happened there, why, and how it's going down.
Yeah, so this is something that has really kind of been percolating for almost a decade. Several years ago, they banned banks from handling cryptocurrency. And then, even as as early as 2019, really, there were sort of indications that next would be mining. And I think at the time the government said it was something to do with like environmental priorities, that type of thing. And then fast forward to this year, and basically there's a blanket ban. As for why this happened, I'm no China expert, but there's a lot of well-informed speculation about this. Probably the biggest one is capital controls. Obviously, Bitcoin is not controlled by the government. It's sort of an escape hatch, or it can be an escape hatch for large sums of money that can move, across the internet and outside borders. It can be challenging to fit into a taxation regime. Now we're in a situation where a lot of these miners and businesses are seeking more stable regulatory regimes, let's say, and finding themselves in the States. I mean, I'm interested in, what lawmakers are saying about this and where this is headed in terms of regulation, because I think this isn't just going to continue like this in this sort of like undirected Wild West, despite the crypto industry sort of coming up with trade groups. There's like a mining council that essentially promotes like, the renewable mix of Bitcoin mining. So, I mean, I feel like until now, this has been done at the municipal level in terms of like what permits get handed out and which don't. That align with like green priorities and this type of thing, but this is really just one aspect of the regulatory conversation I think we're having or we're going to be having in North America and currently are.
So that, okay, but as you're saying, Jordan, like the energy is one issue, and that issue is going to be played out on a deal by deal level almost. But there are other regulatory issues to consider as well, and I think Neeraj, I want to talk to you about that because as I understand it, you represent a think tank for crypto.
Yeah, a cryptocurrency think tank is a real thing. And so I guess now 6 years ago, it became clear that this technology was going to be important and that lawmakers were going to have questions about it because it strays into areas that regulators care about.
Yeah. Cryptocurrency messes with a lot of things.
Center started, a few interested people came together and were like, we gotta, academics and so on, we're like, we have to
cool.
self-appoint as the representative of the technology and the network themselves. So not the companies that are building on it, but the network. And that's what we try to do, we're self-appointed. And gratefully, we have the support of the cryptocurrency community. So what we do is first, just simply we educate policymakers about literally how this works, why it's important, right? That this is a serious thing that's worth considering.
I'm for this because somebody had to do it and I'm glad they did. I'm probably going to check them out. I probably should check them out after this because I know, so education on cryptocurrency is probably for lawmakers is really needed so they can learn how to use it themselves, but I hope they don't use it for bad. And then we need more resources, I think, for like the public as well and how they can utilize it and what good it is for. Just because like it can help out a lot. I mean, all really a cryptocurrency is for, I guess to me, it's almost like bandwidth at the same time. Like for Ethereum, yeah, it's like money, but it's like you mostly use it to pay for like gas, so it's like the data that is being used to change like update things. Like what you're paying for with an NFT is like you're like saving it. I guess I don't know. Well, I do know. Leave me out of this. Let's get back to the video.
That sounds like no easy task.
It's gotten easier of late, but when we started, I started 2015 and I couldn't get anybody to pick up the phone, right? I mean, it just, not only was it cryptocurrency, but it was cryptocurrency policy, which is the most boring part. At least, maybe I'm selling myself short. But so we educate, then we also identify places where the law doesn't account for this type of technology and what's possible. And then we research and develop solutions for those gray areas that we think would allow the network to thrive and protect privacy, so on and so forth. And then finally, we advocate, we lobby for those solutions where needed.
Now let's talk about
good.
regulation on a much more like gross level, which
Yeah,
is
I
to
don't
say
want
like
them
a town could
KYC
say,
in my wallet on,
yo,
like,
we
federal
don't
level.
want Bitcoin here, right? The city council could pass an
forget that.
ordinance. A state could say that in some degree for whatever reason. So does cryptocurrency force us to kind of rethink what a product is, how an individual community can regulate whether that product is made, sold, or bought in their town?
We've done some reporting on different towns that have like essentially put bans on new Bitcoin mines. Yeah, so I mean, we're absolutely seeing this. Like towns are dealing with this kind of whether they want to or not, because like you've sort of put your finger on it already. Like there's money there, there's companies, they're going to where they need to go to make money. So like a utility or a municipality in that situation has no choice but to sort of like figure out what the hell they're doing here with like all of these new businesses that are kind of like knocking down their door. In Plattsburgh, New York, which was a place that put a moratorium ban on new Bitcoin mines, they did that because they have a power market arrangement where they only have a certain amount of cheap renewable power. And that would go to like residents and stuff, but now Bitcoin miners were sort of sucking it up. So they put a ban on that. In other places, it could just be like all of a sudden we've got like shipping containers popping up everywhere and they're ugly and people are mad about it. There was even a case in Canada where a Bitcoin mine like essentially set up like a rogue power plant. They just did it. They just like tapped into a dormant natural gas well, set up like massive generators and just started setting up a power plant and doing it. And then like literally the local community there is like, what's all this noise going on? So at that point, people don't have a choice. Like,
wait, so like these Bitcoin companies said, screw it, we got the money, we're gonna go mine here and set up our power plant, and they got anything to say, we just buy them off. Is that what I just heard? Maybe I'm just misrepresenting that. I heard that wrong. I don't know. Allegedly, these people. Sorry, hold on, let me rephrase this. So allegedly, this company came here and set it without permission. Is that what I'm hearing here?
But to sort of like engage with this and regulate it in a sense and really just figure out like what they're even going to do with the situation that they're now in. So I'll let Niraj handle like the wider regulatory implications from there. But like, yeah, it's absolutely
follow up on that for a second, because like, a Bitcoin mine, crypto mine coming to a community near you, like that's kind of what I'm hearing from both of you, which is, both like, okay, cool. And also like, wait, is that what people want? Like, is that a good thing? So I guess like, and this is a broader question, but what is the educational component that needs to happen to communities around the US to be like, hey, this isn't just like a criminal enterprise that you're letting into your community?
So the argument that I would make, and I think everyone comes to Bitcoin for sort of their own reasons, but I'm interested in sort of the privacy and autonomy element. In particular, its use in like authoritarian countries, things like that. So that's the argument I would make, that it's a good thing. But ultimately, yeah, it's going to come down to the local residents of those towns making the decision. So hopefully there's some advocate in town that can do that. I think there are more and more people every day who are comfortable talking about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and are passionate that these are a good thing in the world.
I mean, education is a massive problem with regards to like when mines move in. Like I'm actually thinking of one specific example, like in Greenwich, New York, there is a fossil fuel power plant that was going to shut down, but basically saved itself by mining Bitcoin with fossil fuels.
Wait,
and this is like a major issue in the community. And it actually it went viral, that this claim that basically they were like turning the lake into a hot tub. And like, so obviously, the largest glacial lake in the US is not a boiling hot tub because of Bitcoin. And I think that's, not necessarily particularly helpful. I think this is like a big issue.
I just was reminded of a pretty funny headline that also went viral, which I think in 2017 or 18, there was a headline that Bitcoin was on track to use all of the Earth's power by 2020.
I remember that, yeah. I remember that, just believing that, actually.
Yeah, so that obviously didn't happen or come anywhere close to that. But that's the kind of example of something that's just like unhelpful. One advantage of the mining industry coming to America is, in America, a lot of these companies are publicly traded. They have comms teams, and they are willing to explain themselves, I guess. And so we're getting better data about the energy mix.
These executives could be called in front of a Senate.
what we really need are these Bitcoin companies to sit down and look into ways to potentially help, I mean, they probably are, but I guess, use energy more efficiently. Like, couldn't, I feel like if I were a Bitcoin mining company, that would be like the main thing I'm trying to do. Like, I'm mining Bitcoin and trying to keep my Bitcoin stuff up, but I'm also going to be doing some R&D on, how to get more power. This is cool.
Senate panel.
Yes.
Right. And maybe the senators might not know how it works, but their aides probably do. Right. And then you guys are out there, and maybe there's going to be another lobbying front that comes up. So this is another, like, the world that we live in today about cryptocurrency isn't the world that we're going to live in 10 years when it's more developed, when it looks like what it's going to become. Environmental stuff and local politics stuff is one thing. And yes, as Jordan, you're saying, that will be played out a million times in a million different towns. But what is the foundation of the regulatory framework versus the privacy of what crypto should look like?
So our financial surveillance regime, known as AML, anti-money laundering, and KYC, know your customer, among other things, all stems from the Bank Secrecy Act, which was passed in the 70s. And the Bank Secrecy Act was built off of this third-party doctrine, where you surrender your right to privacy if you use an intermediary.
Okay.
Back then, couldn't even imagine a Venmo type thing taking over. Now, of course, every transaction flows through an intermediary. So every dollar we spend is subject to surveillance. That is where cryptocurrencies, I think, come in and offer the most sort of benefit to society. That it's a way to operate legally outside of the surveillance, the surveilled financial system,
Okay.
because you are not moving through the intermediary. So my so-called unhosted wallet, not a Coinbase wallet, to your unhosted wallet, to enter into that relationship and spy on it is simply too intrusive. And so that's our backstop.
That's not really the world of Bitcoin for most people, right? Like, everyone's using a big centralized thing like a Coinbase.
And you're right that most people use a custodian that is a third party for their transactions. However, what's different is you have the option to use the unhosted wallet.
Yep.
You can use it.
It's there.
It's there for those who need it.
And what you're saying is it being there underpins its value.
Yes,
It is
that
needed.
is what makes it a check on.
Having a cold wallet and an unhosted wallet is important.
The system.
Is that threatened to go away? Like, are there are people proposing regulations that would actually intrude upon that?
In the final 2 weeks of the Trump administration, the Treasury Department dropped what's so-called midnight rulemaking. So as they're running out the door. So typically a rulemaking process is 90 days. We had, I think, 14 days that came over New Year's and Christmas. So it was a complete, it was a pretty big violation of process. And that, the rule that was being proposed would start to intrude on the so-called unhosted wallets.
What you're saying is we need to think about the unhosted wallet as sacrosanct.
Yes.
Because maybe in the future, the unhosted wallet is the way it could be for all of us, because we don't have to score gold in our basement anymore.
Yeah, and it's also important to note that we in the
that's
U.S.
true.
enjoy a pretty stable financial system,
True.
right? So it's hard to, that's actually been a problem that we've had, is it's hard to impress on somebody the importance of having your sort of stack of cash or gold or whatever under the mattress. But in other parts of the world, Lebanon, whatever, it's chaos out there in the financial world. So in a case like that, having your money in your pocket, your digital pocket, is massive.
That's actually a really important point, I think, because
one can
otherwise,
stop
like,
you from getting
my
it or take it
pushback
from
all
you.
comes from, like, Niraj, that's not how it's working now.
Yeah,
So, like, why are we even talking about needing this to happen this way? But I think seeing it from that perspective, it's like, okay, you need to make sure that the gears of
People need to know the importance of having their money with them at all times. Because, like, I agree. Dude, we're privileged of having our money in banks and being able to have easy access to it. Whereas if we were in an area where, like, banks were obviously stealing our money, or we had another, like, Great Depression where, like, you just couldn't go get your money, that would freak a lot of people out. But with crypto, if you have it in your own wallet, in your pocket, then no one can stop you.
Political corporate machines don't run over the little baby at the center of all this.
Yes.
Jordan, like just to wrap it up with you, like if a crypto mine comes to your town and you see a bunch of moral panic about it, like there's ways to like raise your hand at the town council meeting and be like, guys, like let's be real. What we're talking about is privacy. What we're like, let's maybe even make sure that the mine gives us all money. Some shit like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a position on like whether someone should think it's like, go to bat for it or not. I think this is not going anywhere. I think that as it continues to become like bigger business in the States, like we're going to see more interaction with government, and regulation is coming one way or the other. So I think it behooves, almost anyone to sort of figure out what's actually going on here, and come up with, some sense of where they stand on it and what the stakes of the issue actually are. And then, if you feel like it, go and say your piece where it, has a democratic impact in your community.
All right, well, thank you guys both for joining me today, and thank you guys for watching.
All right, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I really like that. Sucks that they are losing out on a huge opportunity to make some money, but they're